Eritrea is a nation endowed with multi-ethnic groups living in a unique accord, different languages and cultures living in peace and harmony, each practicing its own different traditional customs. However, this episode's Eritrea at a Glance brings a glimpse of the diverse practices and traditional wedding customs of the Afar ethnic group. On the view of marriage in general and the idea of elopement in particular differ around the world and amongst people of every race, culture, and traditional background under a political, geographical, and historical identity. Accordingly, in the Afar ethnic group, polygamy is exercised in accordance with the Islamic law. This includes inter-clan marriages between unrelated people, cross-cousin marriages, abusma, and levirtek arrangement, widow inheritance. It is claimed that cross-cousin marriages are stronger than marriages between unrelated persons because it is said that no serious harm or conflict is inflicted on one's own blood. In the interior part of Afar ethnic group, cross-cousin marriages are almost always mandatory. In areas close to the ethnic borders, however, such a norm is loosely observed as a woman can marry a man of her choice nowadays, with her parents' blessings on her personal path. As far as traditional norms are concerned, a brothel for marriage engagements may begin during childhood. This happens following a nominal payment in cash. The actual wedding, however, usually takes place when girls reach their mid-teens, during which there is a transfer of bride wealth amount in cash or more. The amount to be paid in bride wealth varies from family to family, as it is ultimately decided in negotiations by the bride's father. The paid money is partly spent on the purchase of some food items and materials for establishing an Afar hut made of mat for the new couple. Yet, first thing is first. The first thing the groom does after he chooses a bride is informing his father and ask for his approval. Because his father could not only decide his son's wedding, but also calls his brothers for decision and then proceeds for final approval of the wedding. During this discussion, the father consults his son's choice and asks whether the bride-to-be is a potential partner in his future journey. The uncles also discuss and run their background check on where and which family the bride is from. If the family is not a relative of the groom-to-be, one of the groom's uncles suggests it would be better if the groom would take his daughter rather than the one he has already chosen. After a long and exhaustive discussion, the groom is asked again about the offer. But since a man cannot be deprived of his choice in the Afar tradition, he gets his approval from his father and his uncles. The men in the groom's family give their blessings and pray for the fulfillment of their thoughts. Since the groom's family has discussed in approving the wedding, what comes next is informing the bride's family. The family of the groom head to the bride's residence to make an official request for the wedding. After welcoming the guests, the bride's father schedules the meeting between the two sides in order to discuss preparations for the wedding ceremony. In the Afar ethnic group, either the relatives or villagers are invited to the wedding as part of their tradition. But most of the time, the decision of the wedding relies on the uncles of the bride. The uncles and the bride's family play a key role more than the father when it comes to the approval of the wedding. After the approval of the uncles, the mother of the bride tells her daughters that she is going to get married in a way of an arranged marriage. At this point of time, both the families gather and decide on the overall preparation of the wedding ceremony. After the first step is completed, both father of the bride and the groom meet and hold discussions with the administrator of the respective village in Afar, known as Dardar or Sultan of the city. The overall idea of meeting with the Sultan is to legalize the wedding ceremony. It is after this that the exact timing of the wedding day is decided. The wedding ceremony could possibly be held after several months or even a year. The men then depart after praying for the success of the wedding. Three days prior to the wedding, there's a special ceremony organized by a woman of the village. An ornament scent with butter and different perfume leaves are prepared on this occasion so that the bride could put it on during her wedding day. Hereafter, different programs are prepared for the ceremony, such as digging a small hole and putting their perfume container, which is made of clay, in the hole for 3 days. This specific norm has passed through generations. It's believed to be a good omen for wedding if the women who prepare the traditional perfume for the bride are still married. That way, the smell of the perfume is believed to be stronger. 'During this part of the ceremonial preparation, the women dance to different traditional songs praising the bride and her family. The mother of the bride takes the bride to her friend's house or somewhere close where no one can find her. She hides there from 4 to 5 days prior the wedding. The bride occasionally comes to her house covered in veils in order to assist her mother with the household. The reason why the bride hides in a safe house is to avoid exposure to different entities. It is believed that this would glorify the beauty of the bride to be when she is exposed only on her wedding day. The bride returns to her bedroom just 2 days before the wedding day along with her friends singing different songs. After this, a man approaches to the bride and moves her to the left and right as a sign of testing the bride's endurance and overall physical strength. The bride should await until her friends come in the afternoon to help her prepare for the wedding. Here, it is said that the person who does her hair for the wedding should also be someone who is married. Hereafter, this gathering is handled by the fi'ma, meaning peers of the same age group. Within the fi'ma, all the members of the age group above the age of 15 serve as the main assistants in the celebration. This commonly happens on either sides of the couple. It is mandatory that the fi'ma should be informed about any wedding ceremony in the village just before one day. At this time, the groom chooses two